when I lived in my community, I had a neighbor that was getting foreclosed on. I didn't know it because, like many times in life when we're going through a hardship, we try not to share it with other people until we absolutely have to. So this was right around the end of the housing crisis in America, around 2010 or so, something in that range, right? And so the foreclosure process took a couple years. And when when my neighbor was at like the last month of her being able to stay in her place before she had to leave, she had knocked on my door. And she goes, "Sam, I just wanted to let you know I fought it and I held on as long as I could, but I just can't keep the house." Financially, she just couldn't do it. And I think you should make a mental note of that for everyone who is angry that house prices are higher. Just remember, when house prices are lower, the economy is lower, people can't pay their bills, there's foreclosures, etc. Right or wrong, that's just the way it is, right? So at that time, people didn't want to buy a house. And that's why houses would stay on the market and the prices would go down. So everything has a pro and a con. But back to the story is I appreciated that she told me, because that's not easy to tell someone. And she basically said, "I just don't want you to wake up one day and I'm not here and you may think something crazy happened." She goes, I couldn't hold on anymore. I had to let go and give the property up. She couldn't contest it anymore. She didn't have the money to stay. And that was it. Eventually, I believe she came back to the community as a renter. And I don't know if she ever bought, because then eventually I sold. Now, I didn't sell under foreclosure. I wasn't under any type of financial pressure. At different times in my life, I got behind my bills. I did have a tax lien on my house that I had to pay off, but I never went into foreclosure. And what I learned from this story and why I'm sharing it with you, the number one reason is I remember that key phrase that she said, "I couldn't hold on any longer. I had to let go." And as I've gotten older, and after I've sold my house, and after I've got rid of most of my belongings, and I'm living this nomadic life, and I'm living a minimalist life, I may buy a house again. So that's not what I get. I don't get like, never buy a house. But I get the same thing I got when my dog died. The same thing I got when I go through a breakup. The same thing I got when a friend would pass away. The same thing I got when you leave a job and you leave people to go to a different job. Let go. In life, it's very hard to let go. I mean, I believe that people keep storage units not because they love stuff. It's because they don't want to let go. There's a permanent pain from permanent separation. And it's very hard to live a life where we're constantly letting go. Because humans, we want to grab onto that which is good and hold it. We want to hug our dog and hold it. And kiss it and hold our babies. I don't have a baby, but, people hold their babies and kiss it, their children, their parents. And I think you should. I think you should embrace the moment. I don't think you should always let go literally per se every day. I'm not saying you can't commit to things. I'm not saying you can't commit to people. But I'm saying inside your spirit has to be an embedded perspective that you don't hold on to anything too tight, that you idolize it, or that it stops you from moving forward, especially in a tough period, such as a death or foreclosure. And I don't subscribe, again, to the idea that you should never commit, because you're going to get hurt no matter what in life, different things. I'm not saying you have to be in a relationship. I'm not talking about that specifically, but you can apply to that. I'll probably be single forever, but I don't live my life single because I don't want to commit per se. There's a certain I'm trying to say that there's certain people that subscribe, well, don't be in a relationship because it's going to go wrong. So become men going their own way, and every commitment is suffering. Look, in life, you got to go through some things. Jobs are suffering sometimes. You go through it, you get better. I'm glad I had relationships. They cause suffering. I'm glad I had a dog. It caused suffering when she left. And so, but I've learned that you just have to let go. Okay. It doesn't mean you can't re-engage if you wanted to be in another relationship, or if you wanted to get another pet, or if you wanted to get another house. I do say, as you get older and you've already experienced it, be cautious on and remember what the pros and the cons are. Because you are going to have to, again, have something embedded in your spirit that you enjoy what you have. You cherish it, but you don't hold on too tight. And that's tough. That's not easy. Especially, if you have OCD, especially if you're a very all or nothing person, right? So I always remember my mom used to say, Sam, I see how much you love that dog. Don't get too attached to that dog, So, look, we get attached. Okay. And, but it's life, and it's good. It's not all bad. So, but I remember today, as I was reflecting, I remember that neighbor. Okay. And I wrote it down on my phone to make a video about it. Write down every creative thought, everything you want to share. Because creativity and ideas, they come in waves. You have to write it down. And so I wrote it down. I said, remember, neighbor, let go. I just did hypro, abbreviations. And that's what I tell myself every day. Maybe I'll get a house, but I just got to remember my spirit. Don't go crazy about it as far as if something happens, good or bad, or you don't want it anymore, you just let go. Don't feel like you have to keep this house. I remember when I was going through a tough economic time and I had to borrow money. I remember from my father specifically at one time, a couple grand. And I remember him saying, look, if you can't keep up with the house, just let it go. Sell it. And I said, I'm never going to sell this house. I'm never going to let it go. Of course, I was mainly with the idea of I wasn't going to go out like that. I was going to get back on my feet, figure it out, right? Because I was always willing to work, but I was just in a period where, I had got laid off. I was doing side work, but it wasn't as much. And I was trying to figure out finances. I was trying to mature. And a house is a big, it's one of the biggest financial things other than having a baby and your car payment. Your house is a big thing. So I remember that, when I answered my father on that, I was kind of so determined to hold on to that house. Almost with the same determination as my neighbor. Now, I don't know if my neighbor was going after work and if she was working. I don't know. I don't know her situation. Not my job to know that. But I could say even now, if I got behind the 8 ball, you got to fight for things, but also in your mind, you just got to get through life one day at a time. Okay. I could think about relationships where there were certain relationships where I would obsess over someone, and I wasn't operating off this philosophy of enjoy and cherish that person, but don't hold on too tight. And I could say the same thing. I've had girls on the opposite end where they held on to me too tight, and that I was like, you can't hold on that tight. You got to give me my space. So I've been on both sides, and I'm sure you have. Everyone has. So I hope that this subject of don't hold on too tight, let go, but at the same time, embrace the moment, get through the day, and cherish the day. That balance of thought while still living life, I think will help you. I think about it. Helps me to stay flexible, not scared to do something, but flexible, because I balance that too. Because again, I know there's a philosophy out there, just be totally isolated, have totally nothing, just for the sake of not even going through something. Nah, guys, I'm not scared to go through stuff. I mean, it's if you live your life like that, you'll never do anything that causes any suffering. You'll never go to the gym. You'll never wake up. Waking up early is suffering. Okay. There's a quote that says, mentally ill people are trying to get away from all suffering. Yeah. Yeah, guys, waking up early is suffering. No one wants to wake up early. When you feel that resistance at 5 a.m., every sloth wants to go to bed and sleep until they're so overslept that the sun from noon is beating in on their windows and they just can't sleep anymore. They're fucking had it. Their bodies slept 15 hours. Then they finally get up because they wanted to avoid the suffering of waking up early. So you got to go through some suffering. Okay? You know, the key thing is within reason and understanding different dynamics between materialism, relationships, idling things, worshiping things, and, you know, finding a healthy balance for you, you know, and that's key. Okay. So thank you for watching. If these videos help you, please click that thumbs up. You want to support the channel, please click that blue join button. Thank you to all my members. I will see you in the next video. Peace.